Hello Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike, I'm the Nightwing, Way of Life Esports, coming at you guys with another League of Legends video. Still kind of getting the intro right with the new channel name and, alias that I've taken upon. So don't get me wrong, still trying to get a, really great way of acclimating the new channel name into, the overall intro of what I'm saying to you at the first part of the video. I've been kind of rehearsing it just like, at work and stuff like that. So this past week we had CLG take on Optic, and this was a pretty, if I said bad series, I would be literally understating how bad this was. I think that overall this series has a lot to say about itself, and then it has a lot to not say about itself, if I can actually get that through what I want to say. Now, coming into this series, literally CLG are the favorites. Optic are clear underdogs. I had Crown and Meteos in my all-pro teams. I actually even had Crown as my best mid laner of the split. I thought he had performed very, very well, greatly up to expectations, CSing, roaming around the map, impacting the game, pocket picks, he had those. He not only dominated laning phase at certain points, yeah, he had some bad games, but everybody else did too, so it's not a fault you should be able to put on somebody if they have a bad game. MVPs can have, one or two bad games. That's not the thing. It's just like, how are you impacting the game week to week, finding your team success, getting your teams win, all that stuff. I felt like he did factored it into the reason why he was going to be in my number one pick. Yeah, there were some games where he ran it down mid and, well, everybody else did. So, like I said before, you cannot fault him for that, because if everybody else did it, there's going to be some weeks where he did it too. And remember, the weeks that happened, he came off of being sick, so I'm not going to really fault him for that. Let's see you try playing when you're sick. That's probably not going to happen. But other than that, we have to go with that CLG want to come in and obviously redeem themselves for going, 0-3. CLG was coming in with a 3-game losing streak. Yes, they had not only lost every single game in their final week, then they had lost the tiebreaker game to Cloud9. So that they want to come in and show, okay, we're a legit playoff team. We can take on Optic and defeat them. Now, the very first game, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, don't they have a chance to upset CLG with Optic? It's like, yes, and then CLG managed to pull off a really good base defense, and then right after that, Optic somehow lose the game with 4 Barons and 3 Elder Dragons, if I'm not mistaken. Then CLG get a double kill in the in the mid lane, up close to where the first tower is, and then Crown and Big try backdooring the Nexus by having an inhib down, and then they die, and then CLG just go up mid lane and then just win the game. I'm just thinking to myself, how do you throw a game like that? How in the world do you throw a game like that? Some people actually would per se call it a throw. It is a throw, and I'm not going to deny that, but it had to deal with the Sivir pick. Remember, guys, if people are picking Sivir, they want that late game insurance policy of, okay, even if we're losing, she'll have really good, tremendously decent wave clear that will literally take care of the waves. And we saw that CLG's comp had really good wave clear, which thwarted most of what Optic was actually throwing at them. And I think that when you really, really get into that, you have to understand CLG's comp was literally there because I felt like Weldon knew they were going to get behind. So he actually was just like, okay, here's a late game team. Yeah, I know early game turret-plating, yada, 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 but it doesn't really matter because I know my team is going to fall behind early on. But after that, Optic literally tilt off the face of the earth. They lose game 2, but game 2 was a little bit more like they were still in there. They were still trying, but you just kind of feel like that they mentally just aren't there anymore. You know, they get dove bottom lane, they lose some kills. They have a pretty interesting fight mid where they get a pick with the snare of one of their champions. I forgot who they were using, and they were poking, if I'm not mistaken, Ruin or Biofrost. Then right after that, they all try to go in, and then Power of Evil uses the Emperor's Divide, and then he basically thwarts off their attempt at a dive mid. They lose that fight. Later on, Arrow gets killed on Draven, and then after that, they just solely just lose game 2. Game 3 is another shellacking. They just destroy them, honestly. This was a very interesting series, but it was pretty bad. Like, who'd have thought Clutch versus TSM would be more interesting? And if you guys had seen my podcast, that is going to be continuing on the channel, actually, I had actually predicted CLG and Clutch to go, and so I was proven right. But you know, hey, things happen, and I like having the right teams win. Obviously, I thought the series would be a lot more close. I obviously thought that, you know, Optic coming in, and you know, this is their first and last playoffs as the Optic brand, because we're gonna have Immortals and Dignitas and potentially the people who owned P1 come back into the LCS, and this is Optic and Clutch's last year in the league. So you would think that, you know, these teams are going to be going all out. Clutch sure did, and Optic sure did not. They all tilted, and they all just completely got destroyed. Now, overall, I do believe Game 1 affected them in a way that you just honestly understand that you have to kind of factor in that, you know, if a game like that and you lose that, their mentality is not going to recover. They all just got completely just overran. They're like, God dang, I lost a game like that. We had 4 Barons, guys. Yeah, it was pretty bad, obviously. But hey, it happens. CLG conquer Optic 3-0. After 2 long years, CLG finally made it back to the LCS playoffs and qualified for the 2019 Summer Split semifinals with a 3-0 win over Optic Gaming today. Both teams were coming into the series with a lot to prove. CLG hadn't qualified for the postseason since 2017, while Optic were a constant bottom 5 team in the regular season standing since they entered the LCS. Each roster wanted to show that they could stand amongst the best North America has to offer, but CLG stood above Optic today. The first game between these teams really set the tone for the whole series. It was one of the longest games of the playoff thus far, 46 minutes, and one of the messiest in terms of macro play as well. For a majority of the game, Optic looked to be in the driver's seat, collecting 4 dragons, 4 barons, and an elder dragon. And Optic's neutral objective control was superb in game 1, but they couldn't finish. But they couldn't find any good openings to capitalize on. Horrible macro decisions and unfortunate mistakes from Crown and the rest of his team has cost them all of their leads. And after one final mistake, CLG won the match and effectively tilted Optic right off Summoner's Rift. This loss clearly affected Optic's mental state afterwards, because the rest of the series was almost all CLG. Ruin, Power of Evil taking over in game 2, 6A and Biofrost crushing the competition on Caitlyn and Morgana. CLG used the momentum from their game 1 comeback to win to its full potential. Now, because Team Liquid chose Clutch Gaming as their semifinal matchup, CLG will have to go up against Cloud9 in these LCS Summer Split semifinals in Detroit. You can catch all of the action when the playoffs continue in the Motor City on Saturday, August 17th. Yes, my boys, Cloud9 are taking on CLG. What better matchup would you have? So, there is a little bit of a side note to all of this, actually. CLG is taking on Cloud9, so CLG gets their rematch, and then TL takes on Clutch. We'll be previewing those matches coming up very, very soon, most likely tomorrow. All of those matches will be previewed for you guys anyway, and we'll have my thoughts and opinions about who's going to win the series. Obviously, you guys know I'm going to say Cloud9 for, you know, the semifinals, but nonetheless, I think that some people have said that Team Liquid wants to choose the harder team and give that one to Cloud9 while they take the easier team. Guys, that's their perk of winning, you know, winning the regular season and having the highest record. They get to choose. It's like, why would I choose a harder opponent when I could just choose an easier opponent and then face my harder opponent in the finals. Why would you want to face 2 back-to-back harder opponents? It's like that is just but Clutch right now, as we know, shouldn't be a easy opponent. But remember, TSM didn't put up much of a fight against them. So with TL, it's going to be a lot more harder for them to actually get a lot of their advantages. Now, with that being said, you have to kind of factor in now CLG and Cloud9 will get a chance to duke it out one more time, and we'll get to see who wins. So yeah, Optic take down CLG, and then Cloud9 and CLG are going. No, sorry. CLG take down Optic, and then now CLG are headed to the semifinals with Clutch to face off against their 2 opponents. And that's pretty much it. I'm glad CLG has finally bounced back since their, recent hard struggles they've had for a while, and it's good to finally see them back towards the top. So I'll see you guys later. Like, comment, subscribe. Most of all, enjoy. I'm the Nightwing, Way of Life Esports, signing out. Peace.